What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and we're going to be doing something different in this video. We're going to be doing a double character review. So let's take a look at both Satana and Daimon Hellstrom. Besides looking at these two characters, we're also going to take a look at the Chalice of Souls and the Mimic Sword. Here you're seeing the Chalice of Souls, and if you don't know how it works yet, it's kind of interesting. It's not quite as good as I first thought, but it still can be useful. If the agent has slowed, it will apply a rebuff to whoever you cast it on. And with Satana, she will be able to apply slow to him by using her first ability. This item also applies Dizzy on your agent, so that means that with Satana's Dark Pact, your agent will already have his stats raised. Next we're using Shepherd's Staff, and it does heal everyone when you use it, but it also allows your allies to gain an extra turn next round. So we're using this basically to get Daimon and Satana more moves to show off their abilities. Moving on to Mimic, we're going to go ahead and discuss its ability and how well it works. Now first, people are saying it kind of has false advertising, and I do agree with that. It says Photographic Reflexes protects allies from single target or area attacks, and then you gain a turn and absorb the positive aspects of the target's class when protecting. Now whenever you get this buff on you, it says you have a chance to protect, but we'll talk more about that later after we use it. Lastly, we're using the Warbringer Axe, and that's just to grant War Frenzy to everyone. That way they can have higher attack and accuracy. Right now we're using the Scrapper Armor, and that's because there are some infiltrators in here, and the Hood is in every single wave and he's an infiltrator. So let's start out by using Mimic on the Crimson Cow, and we will get a follow-up attack against him as well. Now we're going to have Photographic Reflexes, and we'll show you how that works throughout the battle. On Daimon Hellstrom's turn, we're going to use Cloaked in Shadows. It's a buff that applies to all allies, gives them 50% chance to avoid attacks, and makes their attacks stealthy. It also applies Dark Void to Daimon Hellstrom. And when Daimon has Dark Void applied to himself, his attacks restore health. That's both his normal attacks and his counter attacks. So let's go ahead and use that. And this move is really great against the computer, because they won't remove it. So it will allow you to avoid so many attacks, and it'll keep your guys around a lot longer. Now right away you see Photographic Reflexes proc. So now we have Bruiser Power, grants enraged when attacked or attacking. And then we also get an extra turn. So the Mimic is really amazing, and I do see a lot of use for it, especially in certain situations. For example, I was fighting with a Scrapper agent, and there was an infiltrator as well as tacticians. What happened was I protected against a tactician, so I gained an extra turn. I was able to attack an infiltrator, get my double attack, and then you gain an extra turn because you have the tactician power. So basically you're getting tactical maneuvers. So I was able to take a bunch of turns and do a lot of attacks. So I could definitely see how this could be really powerful in PvP, and I look forward to trying it out. So probably in an upcoming Adamantium Process episode, I'll go ahead and use the Mimic, and we'll see what we can come up with. Now on Satana's turn, we're going to use our first ability, which is Fiery Fists. And once we use this, we will grant slow to our entire team. After that is when you want to use the Chalice. And I just want to go ahead and discuss the Chalice a little bit further. You may not understand what Phylactery does, but I was able to use it in a PvP battle, and I saw exactly what it does. Let's say you cast the Chalice of Souls on a teammate, and then your agent is knocked out. He will disappear just like normal, and he'll be gone from the battle. But when your ally with Phylactery gets a turn, your agent will come back onto the battlefield. I think he has something like 25% health. And I've been thinking up various ways to take advantage of this. I really do think there's a combination out there. So if I ever come up with something, I'll go ahead and keep you guys informed. So right now we're looking at Daimon's summon. And him and Satana both have different summons that change depending on what debuffs they have. Right here you can see his Succubus Beast with 2 Back summon. He gains access to this when he has Burning and Dark Void. Unfortunately, it consumes both, but it's going to do a catastrophic hit to all enemies. It's stealthy, exploits corruption, ignores defense, and has high crits. So it's a pretty sweet ability, but we don't want to consume his debuffs just yet, so we're going to use From Hell's Heart, his first ability, on the Bruiser, and he will heal himself after hitting him. And he'll do this on counterattacks, regular attacks, and even if he misses, I've seen him heal. This can really help keep him alive in PvP, especially since tacticians are going to take 2 hits against him, but he will counterattack and heal both hits. Now on Satana's turn, we're going to use our second ability, Fires of Hell, and then we're going to follow that up with her level 6, her Summon. Now right now she has Bane and Sin on herself, so her Summon is going to be a pretty good one. It will consume both of these debuffs, but it's going to be a catastrophic hit on all enemies. It exploits corruption as well. So there you see we have Sin and Bane, and that's why we're allowed to use this summon. And it also is going to apply Expose to all allies, so it helps out with Dark Pact as well. I think this is one of the cooler summons since it rains green fire from the sky. And in case you didn't notice, this is an epic boss battle from Chapter 8, Mission 5. We're going after the Custom Possessed Pistol, and it's going to be quite a long battle, so this is actually going to be the full video, but I think it showcases their abilities pretty well. There on Madame Mask's first attack, you see Skittering Darkness pop up, so I avoided the attack, and then Bruiser Power, so I was able to gain Enraged. And that's pretty awesome that you can gain Enraged on any class by stealing a Bruiser's power with the Mimic. Then with her second turn, she did an AoE, so she's going to get hit by both Daimon and Satana. And even though she was finished, Daimon is still going to heal himself for almost 9,000 damage. And that's in PvE, so just imagine in PvP. I know I've seen it do at least 15,000 heal. I'm really not sure what it's fully capable of, but I know it's really impressive. And his level 9 ability will pretty much heal your entire life bar back in PvP. In a future episode of Team Spotlight, I will feature this team, and I'll make sure to show some extra PvP footage. There's his level 9 ability, and you can kind of get a sense of what it can heal for. It also will restore health each turn, lasts 2 rounds, removes and prevents debuffs. And you don't have to worry, it doesn't remove Burning or Dark Void from Daimon Hellstrom. We're going to go ahead and recast Cloaked in Shadows, even though we're kind of early on the recast. We could have waited. Now we're going to use Fiery Fists on the Tactician. So that should ensure that we carry combat reflexes over to the final wave. Now it's going to be Constrictor's turn. But our Photographic Reflexes will protect. And we still have Bruiser power there. So we gain Enraged. Now we're going to get Tactician power. So let's go ahead and look at the Chalice. Now it really doesn't matter who we cast it on because it's not like the computer is going to remove our buffs. At least none of these bosses will. So let's use it on Daimon Hellstrom. Now when we look at Daimon Hellstrom, you will see Phylactery. And that's what I was talking about. It says brings the agent back to life before this character's first action. So if your agent's knocked out, he will disappear. He's completely gone. Just like normal. But when Daimon Hellstrom goes to take an action, your agent will come back on the battlefield. It's pretty interesting to see for the first time. And like I said, I think there's some combinations that could take advantage of this. So I'm going to be testing it out in practice battles. So this should be Constrictor's last attack. And after we take him out, we'll move on to Wave 3. On our agent's turn, we're going to use the Warbringer Axe. That should be enough to finish him. Alright, 20,000, that's a pretty good hit. Now Wave 3, this is going to be the final wave of the battle. And we're facing a Blaster, an Infiltrator, and a Scrapper. So let's go ahead and use the Shepherd Staff. And then we're going to have to recharge. Now on Daimon's turn, we're going to go ahead and use his first ability. And we'll just hit Jack-O-Lantern. So let's go ahead and hit him. It does pretty good damage. And we're going to place Soulfire on him. We're also going to go ahead and heal ourselves. So we were barely hurt, but he's going to heal himself anyway. And I forgot to mention, Daimon Hellstrom does place Burning and Dark Void on himself, but he already takes less damage from dots. Then on top of that, I'm using the Shepherd Staff, so our entire team takes less damage from damage over time effects. And then of course you see how much he heals, so really you don't have to worry about the debuffs. The main concerns against these two characters are items or characters who have Paragon Exploiter or Exploit Attrition. That's who could do some major damage. After Satana finishes Jack-O-Lantern with the counterattack, we're going to take a look at her level 9 ability. First, it has Brutal Strike, so it cannot be prevented by resurrection effects. It's stealthy, has Fatal Blow, so defeats normal enemies with less than 30% health, and greatly damages bosses with less than 30% health. It applies Weaken to your allies, and restores a small amount of health. And it does mean small amount. It's kind of disappointing how little health it restores. But you do see Fatal Blow kick in on the hood, and it does extra damage. So if you hit an enemy with that ability, and it knocks them beneath 30% health, let's say in PvP, Fatal Blow will kick in, and they'll die, and resurrection effects can't save them. So that ability will really come in handy against all the Phoenix teams, and practically every team I face has Phoenix, especially after they made her Mind Link a quick action. So we're down to our very last enemy of the video. Our agent's going to have to skip his turn, do the hold the line, and then it's going to be Daimon Hellstrom's turn. Now we see that Satana is pretty low in health, so let's go ahead and use his level 9 ability. And there you see it healed her completely back to full. Unfortunately, with his extra turn, we're going to have to use Recharge. So let's see what the Grey Gargoyle does. He's going to focus in on our agent, which we're fine with. That's much better than him attacking our Infiltrator. And then after this attack, we should be able to finish the battle. So let's see what he does. He attacks our agent once again. Now it's going to be Satana's turn. And you see Purifying Flames, it's still healing her there. It'll continue to regenerate health. Let's look at her level 6 ability. This is just her normal move. Her other summon that we really didn't get to see will actually restore health. So both her and Daimon are capable of healing your team. They're both very capable heroes, and I could definitely see a lot of different teams utilizing their strengths. Like I said, you do have to be wary of Exploit Attrition and Paragon Exploiter. But one thing you don't have to worry about is Scrolls and Rescue removing their buffs, because they buff themselves and their teammates by using debuffs. So of course Rescue and the Scrolls and things like that won't remove debuffs from the opponent. So you'll be fine with that. And it's nice to be able to build up your team without the fear of your opponent just erasing everything with one click. Now let's finish this one off with Daimon's middle summon. And it's pretty sweet because it removes and prevents resurrection effects. That's going to be all for this character review. I hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe you learned something. I really hope that the game has an update very soon, but if not, we'll continue with our regular series, the Adamantium process, and we'll just have to feature practice battles. And then of course there will be a new team spotlight. We've had some really good teams requested, so I can't wait to showcase them. Lastly, I just want to thank you all for watching, and ask you to please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos.